I'll tell you what, when I saw this game for the first time, the smile on my face was unprecedented, and all I could think was, finally, someone has done it. My childhood dream realized in a video game. Here's how it went for me. Maybe 6 years old. You started to actually learn things in school and retain information. One of the things that you learn about might have been the medieval period, the Middle Ages. Swords, shields, horses, knights, kings, queens, battles, castles and stuff, delicious bowls of gruel. And maybe you were lucky enough that your parents took you to an actual castle. You got to fire a tiny bow and arrow. Maybe you saw some jousting. Perhaps you were lucky enough to go in the torture dungeon. Either way, your mind was blown. This was real? People lived like this? Amazing. And then you get a bit older, maybe 8 or 9 years old. You start to play with toy guns and video games with guns. You watch Transformers on TV, you watch a bit of G.I. Joe, shooty shooty bang bang, and then at Christmas time on TV, you see Back to the Future for the first time. Mind blown. Time travel, the past, the future, hoverboards. This is seriously cool. Changing the course of history, alternate timelines. Just incredible. A few years pass. You're 11, 12 years old now. And your granddad tells you stories about the time that he spent fighting in the Navy during World War II. Now it makes sense why he was deaf in his right ear. And you start history class and you learn about warfare, tanks, planes, helicopters, armies. Maybe you play video games set in wars, and all of a sudden, something in your brain clicks. And you wonder, regardless of how ridiculous it is, what if I could somehow combine all of that for real? What if I could travel back in time in a DeLorean with modern weaponry to the medieval period? What if I could go to some of the most famous battles in history and just see what would happen if I brought a minigun to the fight? What would happen if I had an RPG with infinite ammo versus an entire army with melee weapons? What would happen if I could bring an M1 Abrams tank to the battle? Who's gonna win? Well, Kingmakers might be the closest thing we'll ever get to answering that question and seeing what would happen. I realise that I'm not alone in this fantasy, and I'm sure there's more out there who have thought the same thing, and other games have tried this before too, but typically, from what I've seen in my experiences, they are just simulations for a bit of fun, and they don't offer much more than that. However, Kingmakers is claiming to offer a full campaign, co-op, and fully destructible environments. More on that later. So what's the setup here then? Well, the game pitches you as a soldier or a mercenary, I guess, travelling back to the year 1401 to help the real-life Welsh rebel Owain Glyndwr conquer England. In reality, his Welsh rebellion was defeated, and then he mysteriously disappeared. And I imagine that the game will dive into this. It will be part of the story, and perhaps they'll take some artistic liberties with what happened to him. Maybe the person that you're playing as is some kind of relative, or perhaps even the man himself. I wonder. So the main gameplay loop will be you travelling back in time and using modern weapons to help the outnumbered Welsh to defeat English armies that are made up of thousands and thousands of soldiers, which by the way are all simulated in the game. All of the buildings here too are said to be detailed, fully navigable, and fully destructible. Frostbite engine, eat your heart out. The game also features RTS elements too, where you can seamlessly zoom out of the battles for a top-down view, building up your castle and its defences, also commanding your own armies and fortifying outposts. The developers have said that the AI in this game is not dumb. It can navigate complex multi-story castles like we see in the footage, with the same level of pathfinding fidelity that you would expect from a modern first-person shooter. And they claim that the AI isn't like Dynasty Warriors either, where soldiers spawn into existence as you approach them. Instead, the AI is always there running in real time, doing their own thing regardless of the player's position. I like the idea of a world that exists while you're not there, that kind of vibe. As for the gunplay and movement systems, it looks frenetic and action-packed. On par with Helldivers 2 and Space Marine was the quote in the trailer. I've not played it yet, so I can't say for sure. The destruction though looks really cool. We can see airstrikes from jets coming in, tanks, cars, grenade launchers, RPGs, wreaking absolute havoc to the environment. I even saw moments in the trailer where the player blows up brick ceilings, creating debris, and rubble drop moments that damage the bad guys below. So every building, castle, wall, and tree in this game is fully destructible. None of it is scripted either, all dynamic. Interestingly, using Unreal Engine 4, which I did not see coming. I didn't expect that. Apparently, they did experiment with Unreal Engine 5, but nothing was as fast as UE4 on the CPU simulation side in terms of real-time physics. So I think it makes sense for this type of game. It does look very impressive though on first impressions. As I mentioned earlier too, the game has co-op, 4 players in total, who can all lead their own armies alongside yours and join you on your conquest of England with online co-op. This will be the full campaign you can play through together, no compromises, meaning all players will be fielding their own army of thousands who are going to be fighting against armies of thousands, building their own fortifications, buildings, outposts, and attacking enemy bases on their own side of the map or alongside you together. I imagine that there will be some epic team-up moments here using all sorts of weapons and call-ins when you really need to push back an enemy to enter a castle and take the throne. It looks like an absolute blast. In the trailer, we can see the player driving through hordes of bad guys. Ragdolls flying into the air in hilarious fashion, mowing through buildings. There's Apache helicopters blasting Hellfire missiles down. At one point, the man is riding a motorcycle while mag dumping an Uzi at horses running towards him. I literally burst out laughing the first time that I saw this. We see him frying knights with some sort of taser gun. We see him using a crossbow, even what looks like a recurve hunting bow at one point. And I love that games like this are still being made in a world where so many companies and big publishers seem hyper-focused on big business, MTX, battle passes, engagement. Kingmakers just seems to be a game made for the sake of being a game, and the premise is ridiculous. It's something that you could only do really well in a video game, in my opinion, and I'm here for it. Has there ever been a movie or a TV show with a similar concept? Surely there has to be. Let me know in the comments down below. Sneakily, there was a clip too at the end of one of the trailers where we can see some robot drones flying around in a sci-fi world. It looked like they're dropping bombs or troops off, so I guess at some point in the story, the gameplay will jump forwards to the future where this time-traveling soldier has come from, and the whole experience will shift from fighting medieval armies to futuristic sci-fi armies. I suppose this will introduce several new enemy types, environment and gameplay mechanics, new call-ins that you can use. Perhaps in the 1400s, the worst ranged weapons that you'll have to deal with are arrows, ballistas, and trebuchets, but in the future, the enemies might be firing back with more firepower. Could throw up some interesting curveballs for sure. Overall, as you can probably tell, I am very excited to try this game and really looking forward to it. My only concerns, I guess, would be performance. Is it going to run well on your average PC system with all the simulation happening? And will there be enough variety and direction here to keep players engaged for a full 8 to 10 hours or whatever the campaign is going to run for? Either way, as soon as I can get my hands on this and capture some gameplay, I will do that for you guys. The game is scheduled to release on PC in early access in 2025 on Steam, and major consoles with more details to share on that later in the year. I suppose it will depend if they can get it running on consoles. I don't see why not. I'm sure there are many console players out there who'd love to try this. And that's all for today, folks. Do let me know your thoughts down below. Thank you for watching. Drop me a like if you enjoyed the video, dislike if you didn't. A huge thank you to some of my members here: Shadow6, Mark Davis, Tar Heels, It's Me Hawk, Georgios N, Joel, and Tiger Lily. Really appreciate your support. Subscribe if you're new here, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.